What kind of woman leaves behind a diamond ring, a mansion, and the most feared man in Philadelphia before sunrise? Maya Harlan did. 6 months pregnant, standing in the rain outside a restaurant where her husband sat too close to another woman, she finally understood the truth. The cage had never been made of iron. It was made of protection, silence, and a love that always came with conditions. That night she went home, placed her wedding ring on his pillow, and left a letter that would tear the Harlan empire apart. This is not just a story about betrayal. It is about power, motherhood, survival, and the dangerous kind of love that must either change or destroy everything it touches. Stay until the end, because the ring she left behind was only the beginning. Like this video and comment where you're watching from. The ring on Cole Harlan's pillow did not look like a jewel anymore. It looked like evidence. He stood in the bedroom long after the sun began to rise over Philadelphia, holding Maya's letters in one hand and the platinum band in the other. Rainwater dripped from the hem of his coat onto the polished floor. Behind him, the mansion breathed its usual silence, the kind of silence built by money fear and staff who knew better than to ask questions. Eleanor Harlan remained in the doorway, perfectly dressed for morning, though dawn had barely touched the windows. Her silver hair was pinned low at her neck. Her pearls rested against her throat like a row of tiny white teeth. Cole did not look at her at first. He kept reading the same line. "I am leaving before our daughter learns that love means waiting alone in locked rooms." His chest tightened in a way he did not recognize. Pain was familiar to him. Anger was useful. Fear was something he had been trained to bury before it showed on his face. But this was different. This was a hollowing, a cold room opening inside him. Eleanor's voice was calm. She was always dramatic. Cole turned his head slowly. Maya's side of the bed was empty. Her nightstand had been cleared of the small things that made the room feel human. The lavender hand cream, the paperback with a bent corner, the framed ultrasound photo that had sat beside a glass of water every night for weeks. Gone. Only the shape of her absence remained. Cole folded the letter with unnatural care. "Do not say another word about my wife." Eleanor lifted one brow. "Your wife left you." The words should have struck like an insult. Instead, they landed like a truth he had already begun to understand. Maya had not vanished because of one dinner. She had not left because of one woman leaning too close in a private room with gold lights and champagne. The ring had been waiting to be removed for a long time. Cole just had not wanted to see it. Years earlier, before the Harlan mansion swallowed her name, Maya Whitaker had worked behind the circulation desk at a university library in West Philadelphia. She wore her hair in loose waves, kept a pen tucked behind one ear, and had a habit of speaking to difficult men as if they were overdue books. Cole met her on a Thursday evening after a donor event he had only attended because his mother insisted the family needed respectable photographs in public places. He had left the reception early with 2 men trailing him and blood on the inside of his cuff from a problem handled behind the loading dock. He wandered into the library because it was quiet, and because no one there looked at him like he owned the room. Maya was sorting returns when he approached the desk. "I need a book," he said. She did not look up right away. That is usually why people come to libraries. One of Cole's men shifted behind him. No one spoke to Cole Harlan like that. Not in boardrooms, not in restaurants, not in rooms where men understood the cost of disrespect. Cole glanced at the guard without turning. "Wait outside." The guard hesitated. Cole's voice dropped. "Now." The man left. Maya finally looked up. Her eyes were brown, clear, and unimpressed. What kind of book? Cole looked at the shelves, then back at her. Something old. That narrows it down to most of human civilization. He almost smiled. She noticed. It made him feel caught in a way he did not hate. "History," he said. Maya studied his black suit, his expensive watch, the faint bruise near his knuckle, and the way the entire lobby seemed to know he was dangerous even without knowing his name. "You are standing in poetry." "Am I?" "Yes. And men like you usually pretend they want history because poetry makes them nervous. Men like me." She leaned on the counter. "Men who come in wearing a coat that costs more than my rent and bring bodyguards into a library." Cole should have walked away. He should have found her amusing for 5 minutes and forgotten her by morning. Instead, he stood there, looking at a woman who had no idea she was speaking to the heir of the most feared family in Philadelphia. "What would you recommend?" he asked. Maya pulled a slim volume from the return cart and placed it in front of him. "Try this." He looked at the title. "Love Poems. They are not all love poems. They look like love poems. Then be brave." That was the first time Maya made Cole Harlan feel like courage had nothing to do with violence. He came back the next night, then the next. At first, Maya assumed he was bored. Rich men, in her experience, often treated regular people like temporary entertainment. Cole did not behave like the others. He did not flirt loudly. He did not send flowers to her job. He did not ask who her father was or whether her family had money. He simply appeared near closing time with coffee from the shop across campus and waited while she finished shelving books. "You know I am not impressed by coffee," she told him one night. "You drank it. It was cold. You still drank it." She gave him a look over the top of a stack of novels. "You are very confident for a man who has not yet learned my middle name." "Then tell me." "No." "Why not?" "Because you are used to getting answers." Cole looked at her for a long moment. "And you are used to making men work for them." Maya smiled, then, small and unwilling. "Only the ones who need the practice." With Maya, Cole became someone else, or maybe someone he had buried before anyone could kill it. He learned that she liked diners with cracked red booths more than restaurants with private chefs. She hated roses because every man sent them when he had no imagination. She loved sunflowers because they looked stubborn. She called her younger sister Tessa every Sunday evening and sent money home whenever she could. Her father had worked in construction until his lungs gave out from years of dust and winter cold. Cole listened to all of it. That was what fooled her. Not the money, not the suits, not the black cars that appeared whenever it rained. Maya had grown up with enough practical sense to know luxury could be another kind of trap. But Cole listened as if her small stories mattered more than the empire waiting for him outside the library doors. One night, after they had been seeing each other for 3 months, she found him standing under the awning outside her apartment building. Snow fell over the street in soft, dirty sheets. His hair was damp. His face looked younger in the cold. "You should not be here," she said. "I know. Then why are you—" He looked at the building behind her. Cheap brick, flickering hallway light, a lock that never fully caught unless you pushed the door hard. "Because I worry." Maya crossed her arms. "I lived here before you worried. That does not make it safe. It makes it mine." He absorbed that. Most men would have argued. Cole only nodded. Then he said, "Can I walk you upstairs? You can walk me to the lobby." He did. In the lobby, under a buzzing fluorescent light, Maya turned to him. "You are not allowed to take over my life just because you care about me." Cole's jaw moved once. "No one taught me the difference." That was the first honest thing he ever said about himself. Maya should have heard the warning inside it. Instead, she heard the wound. By the time Cole asked her to marry him, she had already met the Harlan world in pieces. A fundraiser where men twice her age lowered their voices when Cole entered. A family dinner where nobody laughed unless Eleanor decided the room could breathe. A church event where the priest looked at Cole like a sinner and a sponsor at the same time. Maya also learned the other language, the one no one taught but everyone understood. When Cole said business, it meant danger. When a guest left through the back door, it meant shame or blood. When Eleanor touched the pearls at her throat, it meant someone had displeased her. Eleanor Harlan welcomed Maya into the mansion with a smile that never warmed her eyes. "My dear," she said, kissing the air beside Maya's cheek. "Cole has told me so little about you." Maya tried to be gracious. "I hope that means I get to introduce myself properly." Eleanor looked her over from her simple blue dress to the modest shoes she had saved 2 paychecks to buy. How refreshing. It sounded like praise until it did not. At dinner, Eleanor asked about Maya's family, her education, her father's illness, and whether Maya planned to continue working after marriage. Each question was wrapped in silk and sharpened underneath. Cole noticed some of it, not enough. When Maya's hand tightened around her fork, he placed his hand over hers beneath the table. She loved him for noticing her discomfort. She forgave him for not stopping it. That became the pattern. Cole would see the wound after it was made. Then he would offer comfort instead of protection. Their wedding took place in a cathedral filled with white flowers and men with hidden weapons. Philadelphia society came dressed in dark suits, diamonds, and careful smiles. Maya's family sat on one side, small and overwhelmed. Tessa cried openly. Maya's father, thin from illness but proud, walked her down the aisle with one hand trembling around hers. "You sure?" he whispered. Maya looked at Cole waiting near the altar. He stood tall, severe, and beautiful in a black suit. But when he saw her, his face changed. The hard lines softened. His eyes moved over her like prayer. "I am," she whispered back. Eleanor watched from the front pew. After the ceremony, while guests drank champagne beneath chandeliers, Eleanor found Maya near a marble column. "You look lovely today," she said. "Thank you." Eleanor reached out and adjusted the edge of Maya's veil, though it did not need adjusting. "Try not to mistake being chosen for belonging." Maya stared at her. Eleanor smiled for the photographer across the room. The flash went off. In the picture, they looked like family. The first year of marriage was almost happy. Almost. Cole came home before midnight more often than not. He ate dinner with Maya in the breakfast room because the formal dining room made her feel like she had to audition for a life she had never wanted. He learned to make coffee badly and insisted it was improving. She filled the mansion with books, candles, and music that was not selected by Eleanor or paid staff. For a while, even the guards seemed less like walls and more like shadows at the edge of the life she was building. At night, Cole would remove his jacket, loosen his tie, and sit beside her on the bedroom floor while she sorted through paint samples for a room she wanted to turn into a studio. "Yellow?" he asked one evening. "Soft yellow. It looks like cream. That is because you have no imagination." "I married you," she laughed. He watched her like the sound had changed the room. In those days, Maya believed love could teach him. She believed gentleness repeated often enough could become a new language in his mouth. And sometimes it did. When she had nightmares after hearing gunshots near the river one night, Cole held her until morning. When her father's medical bills increased, Cole paid them quietly, then promised he would never use that money against her. When Eleanor criticized Maya's dress at a public dinner, Cole ended the evening early and took her for burgers in the back of a 24-hour diner. "You embarrassed your mother," Maya said, dipping fries into ketchup. Cole looked across the table. "She embarrassed my wife." That version of him was the one Maya held on to long after he began disappearing. It happened slowly. A dinner missed because a shipment had been interrupted. A weekend canceled because a councilman needed persuasion. A birthday party shortened because one of Cole's men was found in an alley with his mouth full of blood and secrets. Cole became the head of the family after Victor Harlan's sudden death. The official story said heart failure. The private story had too many locked doors and too many people who stopped speaking when Maya entered the room. Victor had been a hard man, but not a careless one. He had liked Maya in his quiet way. Once, during a rare afternoon when Eleanor was away, Victor found Maya in the garden and asked if Cole made her happy. The question startled her. "Yes," she said. Victor nodded, watching the winter branches move in the wind. "Good. Then do not let this house teach you to disappear." At the time, Maya thought he meant loneliness. After his funeral, Cole changed. Grief did not make him softer. It made him efficient. He inherited contracts, debts, enemies, and men who wanted to know whether Victor's son had teeth. Cole showed them he did. He came home later, slept less, spoke in shorter sentences. The mansion filled with visitors who never used the front door. Maya woke to voices behind the study walls and cars idling in the drive at 3 a.m. She learned not to ask questions when Cole washed his hands too long. She learned that a ruined shirt disappeared faster than a broken glass. She learned that when he kissed her forehead and said, "Stay upstairs tonight," he was not making a request. At first, Maya fought him. "I am your wife, Cole, not a guest you hide when dinner turns ugly." He stood near the bedroom door, tie undone phone vibrating in his hand. "I am trying to keep you safe." "No. You are trying to keep me quiet." His eyes flashed. "You do not understand the things I keep away from you, because you do not let me understand. I will not drag you into blood." Maya stepped closer. "You already did when you put your ring on my finger." The words struck him. She saw it. But then his phone rang again, and the man who loved her disappeared behind the man who ruled Philadelphia. "I have to go," he said. "You always do." He paused. Then he left. Eleanor grew stronger in the spaces Cole abandoned. She began making decisions in Maya's name. Which doctor was suitable? Which charity boards she should join? Which dresses photographed well beside Cole? Which friends from her old life were inappropriate now that she was a Harlan? Tessa hated the mansion from the first visit. "It feels like everyone here is waiting for permission to breathe," she whispered in Maya's closet while borrowing earrings for a dinner downstairs. Maya tried to laugh. "It is not that bad." Tessa looked at her sister's reflection in the mirror. "Maya." One word. No judgment. Just recognition. Maya turned away first. Then came the pregnancy. The test was positive on a rainy morning in April. Maya stood barefoot in the bathroom, one hand over her mouth, the other holding the small plastic stick as if it might vanish. She had imagined this moment differently. Cole home. Sunlight. Maybe laughter. Maybe fear shared between two people who loved each other enough to be terrified together. Instead, Cole was in New York handling a negotiation that had already left one man in the hospital. Maya waited until he returned. He came home near midnight, exhausted, with a cut beneath his eye and his coat smelling of cold air and smoke. She was sitting on the edge of the bed, still awake. "You should be sleeping," he said. "So should you." He gave the tired shadow of a smile. "What is it?" Maya stood and handed him the test. For 3 seconds, Cole did not move. Then the entire room changed around him. The ruthless calm slipped. His face opened with something almost boyish. Wonder, fear, joy too large for the body trying to hold it. "Maya," he whispered. She nodded, tears already rising. He dropped to his knees before her and pressed his forehead against her stomach, though there was nothing to feel yet. A baby. Our baby. His hands curved around her waist as if she had become the center of gravity. "I will keep you both safe," he said. Maya closed her eyes and touched his hair. For a moment she believed him completely. When they learned it was a girl, Cole went silent in the examination room. The grainy image on the screen fluttered like a secret. Maya laughed through tears. Cole stared as if the universe had given him something he had no right to hold. In the car afterward, he said, "Lily." Maya looked over. "What if you like it?" "Lily." She smiled. "I do." He reached for her hand. "No one will ever hurt her." The words should have comforted her. Instead, they settled between them with a weight she could not name. Protection became a flood. Cole doubled the guards. A driver appeared whenever Maya wanted to leave. Her phone was updated by a security consultant. Her doctor was replaced by a specialist Eleanor preferred. The nursery was designed by a woman Maya had met only once in colors Eleanor called appropriate for a Harlan child. Maya tried to push back. "I wanted sunflowers," she told Cole one evening standing in the doorway of the half-finished nursery. The room was pale gray and white. Beautiful. Expensive. Cold. Cole glanced up from his phone. "For the nursery." "Yes. My mother said softer tones are better." Maya turned to him. "Your mother is not having this baby." He put the phone away, but too slowly. "I know. Do you?" Cole sighed. "Maya, it is just paint." "No. It is never just paint in this house." He looked at the walls, then really looked. Shame moved across his face, brief but real. "I will have it changed." She waited for more. He did not offer it. That was how he lost pieces of her. Not through cruelty, through incompletion, through apologies that repaired the surface while leaving the structure untouched. Eleanor understood this better than anyone. She watched her son fail in small ways and used each one like a thread. Scarlett Reeve entered the Harlan circle during a charity auction at the Bellevue. She was dazzling in red silk, all camera angles, and practiced warmth. Her family owned luxury towers, private marina leases, and quiet influence among men who preferred their illegal favors wrapped in real estate contracts. Eleanor introduced her as if she were introducing a solution. "Cole, you remember Scarlett?" Cole barely looked up. "Of course." Scarlett smiled. "Maya, congratulations on the baby. You look radiant." It sounded kind. It was not. Scarlett's eyes moved briefly to Maya's belly, then to Cole, then to Eleanor. Maya saw the exchange. Cole did not. Or he chose not to. After the auction, Maya asked him in the car, "What does your mother want from her?" Cole leaned back, tired. "Business." She looked at you like business had a heartbeat. Cole's mouth tightened. "Scarlett is nothing. Women are rarely nothing when your mother smiles at them." He looked at her, then irritated. "Do not start this tonight." Maya turned toward the window. The city passed in streaks of wet light. "I did not start it." The anniversary dinner was planned 3 weeks later. Maya planned her own surprise because she was tired of waiting for Cole to remember softness. She bought the baby bracelet from a small jeweler near Rittenhouse Square and had Lily engraved in delicate letters. She chose the cream dress because Cole had once told her she looked like morning in that color. Eleanor knew. The staff always told Eleanor everything, even when they did not mean to. A driver mentioned the jeweler. A housekeeper saw the dress. The restaurant reservation crossed the wrong desk at the wrong time. Eleanor did not need to invent betrayal. She only needed to frame possibility. Cole was told the dinner with Scarlett involved a development vote and a family alliance that needed careful handling. Scarlett was told to play her part. The private room at the Aurelia Room was selected because the glass wall gave just enough privacy to speak and just enough visibility to wound. Cole should have refused the meeting. He did not. He should have moved his hand when Scarlett touched it. He did, but not fast enough. He should have stood when she leaned close. He remained seated. He should have left the moment he understood the room had become theater. But Cole Harlan had spent his whole life surviving uncomfortable rooms by staying still until he controlled them. That night, stillness cost him his wife. Back in the mansion, with morning spreading over the windows, Cole understood the shape of his failure with a clarity that made breathing difficult. Eleanor stepped inside the bedroom. "She will come back," she said. Women like Maya always mistake leaving for strength until the world reminds them they are alone. Cole looked at the empty nightstand. The ultrasound photo was gone. She took Lily's picture. Eleanor's face tightened at the baby's name. "That name is not final." Cole turned. "What did you say?" "A Harlan child should carry a name with weight." Maya's letter crumpled slightly in his fist. "She is not a title. She is the future of this family. She is my daughter." Eleanor's smile was thin. "And that is why you cannot afford to let her be raised by a woman who runs at the first sign of discomfort." Cole crossed the room so quickly Eleanor's expression sharpened. Discomfort. His voice was quiet. That made it worse. "You staged that dinner." Eleanor did not deny it. She walked to the window and looked down at the front drive, where Cole's men waited beside black cars ready to hunt, because hunting was what they knew how to do. "I revealed a weakness," she said. "You used Scarlet. I used opportunity. You used my marriage." Eleanor faced him. "I protected your bloodline from a woman who would teach your child that feelings matter more than survival." Cole stared at his mother and saw, maybe for the first time, not the elegant widow who had held the family together after Victor died, but the architect of every cold room he had ever mistaken for home. "You knew Maya would come to the restaurant." "Yes. You wanted her to see it. I wanted her to understand where she stands." Cole took one step back as if distance could keep him from what he was hearing. And where is that Eleanor's answer came without hesitation? "Outside the family unless she learns obedience." The word hung in the room. Obedience. Not loyalty. Not love. Not partnership. Obedience. Cole looked down at the ring in his palm. He remembered sliding it onto Maya's finger in the cathedral, remembered whispering that no one would ever touch her again. He had thought he was making a vow. Maybe he had been laying the first bar of the cage. His phone buzzed. Miles Deacon. Then another call. A driver. Then another. The city waking up to a missing Harlan wife. Cole did not answer. Eleanor watched him carefully. "You need to act before she does something foolish." Cole slipped Maya's ring into his coat pocket. "No." Eleanor's eyes narrowed. "No. No one touches her. No one tracks her phone. No one follows Tessa. No one goes near her father. You are emotional. I am awake." Eleanor's expression hardened, and for a second all her polish vanished. There she was. The woman beneath the pearls, the one who had survived beside Victor Harlan by becoming sharper than every man who underestimated her. "She is carrying my granddaughter." Cole's voice dropped. "She is carrying Maya's daughter." The slap landed before either of them seemed to expect it. Eleanor's hand struck Cole across the face with a crack that echoed against the high ceiling. Cole did not move. A red mark rose along his cheek. Eleanor breathed once, then lowered her hand. "You foolish boy," she whispered. "You think love makes you noble. It makes you manageable." Cole looked at her for a long time. Then he walked past her. Downstairs, the mansion staff stood frozen in corners, pretending not to listen. Miles waited near the front hall with 2 phones and the expression of a man ready for war. Boss Miles said, "We have teams ready. Airports, train stations, toll cameras. Say the word." Cole stopped at the bottom of the staircase. For 4 years he had believed love meant never letting Maya out of reach. Now her letter burned in his pocket like a judgment. He looked at the front doors, at the city beyond them, at the empire that had obeyed him faster than his own heart ever had. "No teams," he said. Miles frowned. "Cole, no one hunts my wife." The room went silent. Eleanor appeared at the top of the stairs behind him. "Then you will lose her." Cole did not turn around. "I already did." He walked into his study and closed the door. Inside, Victor Harlan's portrait stared down from the wall. The old man's painted eyes were cold, but Cole remembered that day in the garden the warning Victor had given Maya. "Do not let this house teach you to disappear." Cole sat behind the desk where his father had once ruled half the city and took Maya's letter from his pocket again. He read it until the words stopped being accusation and became instruction. "Let me breathe." Outside the mansion, Philadelphia moved under a gray morning sky. Men waited for orders. Eleanor made phone calls in a voice like polished glass. Somewhere beyond the city, Maya was carrying their daughter into a world where the Harlan name could not protect her without first trying to possess her. At 5:03 in the morning, Maya stood in a bus station bathroom with shaking hands, locked the stall door, and dialed the only person she still trusted. Tessa answered on the second ring. For one breath, Maya could not speak. The bathroom around her smelled like bleach rainwater and old tile. A woman at the sink was fixing her lipstick under a flickering light. Somewhere beyond the door, an announcement crackled through the bus station speakers calling strangers to places that suddenly sounded safer than home. Maya Tessa's voice came through rough with sleep. "It is 5 in the morning." Maya pressed her forehead to the stall wall and closed her eyes. "I need you not to ask questions until I am safe." The silence on the other end changed. Tessa was awake now. "Where are you, Greyhound Station?" "South Side. Is Cole with you?" "No." "Did he hurt you?" Maya swallowed. Her hand moved to her stomach where Lily shifted gently, as if the baby could feel the fear moving through her mother's body. "Not with his hands." Tessa breathed out slowly. "That is enough. Stay where there are people. Do not get into anyone's car unless I tell you. I am coming." "No." Maya opened her eyes. "You cannot come here. His men may already be watching my apartment. They may watch you too." "Maya, I am not leaving you in a bus station bathroom. You have to listen to me." The words came sharper than she meant them to. The woman at the sink glanced toward the stall, then left quickly, the door swinging shut behind her. Maya lowered her voice. "I need cash. I need a car that cannot be traced to you. And I need somewhere quiet. Somewhere he would never think I would go." Tessa was silent for only a second. "Cape May." Maya blinked. "What?" "Remember Aunt Linda's friend, the one who used to rent beach cottages in winter, because nobody goes there unless they are hiding from taxes or grief, despite everything." A broken laugh escaped Maya. "Tessa, I am serious. Cape May is dead this time of year. Half the houses are empty. The ocean is loud enough to swallow a woman's thoughts. You can stay under your maiden name." Maya looked at the small suitcase by her feet. It carried almost nothing from her old life. A few clothes, medical records, the bracelet with Lily's name, the ultrasound photo folded inside a book. No wedding ring. "Can you arrange it?" "Yes." "Tessa." "What?" "If anyone asks you, do not know where I am." Her sister's voice softened. "I have never been good at lying. Please." Another pause. Then Tessa said, "For you, I will learn." By noon, Maya had changed buses, twice paid cash for a worn blue sedan in the name of a man who asked no questions, and crossed out of Philadelphia with her heart beating hard enough to hurt. Tessa had left money in a locker at a train station wrapped in an old scarf their mother once wore to church. There was also a phone with one contact saved. Me. Maya held the scarf for a long time before she drove away. The road to the shore was gray and wet. Strip malls gave way to flat winter fields. Gas stations stood under low clouds. Bare trees clawed at the sky. Every few miles, Maya checked the mirror and expected to see a black SUV keeping pace behind her. Sometimes a dark car appeared. Sometimes it turned away. Sometimes it was nothing at all. That was the worst part. Fear no longer needed proof. It had moved into her body and learned to speak in ordinary sounds. Tires on wet pavement, a phone vibrating, a man coughing behind her in line at a convenience store. At a rest stop near Vineland, Maya stood in front of a vending machine and realized she had forgotten how to choose something without imagining what Cole would say. Too much sugar. Not enough protein. Unsafe location. Call the driver. Wait in the car. She bought Crackers orange juice and a small pack of chocolate cookies because no one was there to stop her. In the parking lot, she ate 2 cookies and cried so suddenly that she had to grip the steering wheel until the wave passed. "I am sorry," she whispered to her stomach. Lily moved once a soft roll beneath her palm. Maya wiped her face. "No. You know what I am not sorry. Your mother bought cookies. That is not a crime." The sentence was ridiculous. It saved her for the next 20 miles. Cape May appeared beneath a bruised evening sky, quiet and salt-stained. The summer brightness was gone. No laughing tourists, no crowded sidewalks, no music spilling from open bars, only shuttered inns, dark porches, empty beach streets, and the steady roar of the Atlantic somewhere beyond the dunes. The cottage sat 2 blocks from the water on a narrow street lined with old Victorian homes. It was small, weathered, and painted a tired shade of blue. The porch leaned slightly. One window had a crack in the corner. A gull screamed from the roof as if announcing her arrival to nobody who cared. Maya parked in the driveway and sat there with both hands on the wheel. No guards opened her door. No driver waited for instructions. No camera turned toward her from the iron gate. The silence was frightening at first. Then it became something else. Space. She stepped out into the cold and unlocked the cottage with a key hidden inside a fake stone near the steps. Tessa had sent the instructions in 3 short texts and deleted them immediately after. Inside, the air smelled like cedar dust and old heat. The furniture did not match. The kitchen table had scratches. The curtains were faded. A framed watercolor of a lighthouse hung crooked on the wall. Maya walked from room to room, touching nothing. The bedroom had a quilt folded at the foot of the bed. The bathroom faucet dripped. The radiator clanked angrily when she turned it on. It was imperfect in every possible way. It was hers. She locked the door. Then the back door, then checked every window. After that, she checked them again. Her body did not trust safety simply because a place was quiet. When she finally sat on the bed, exhaustion took her so hard she could barely remove her shoes. She placed the ultrasound photo on the nightstand. Then the baby bracelet. Then the old scarf from Tessa. The empty space on her left hand caught the lamplight. For 4 years that ring had announced her before her voice ever could. Mrs. Harlan, Cole's wife, Eleanor's problem. The future mother of a child people had already begun to claim. Now her hand looked bare and strangely young. Maya lay on her side, curled around her belly, and listened to the ocean hitting the shore in the dark. The next morning she woke to pain in her lower back and panic in her throat. For one terrible second she did not know where she was. The ceiling was too low. The sheets smelled wrong. Cole was not beside her. Then memory returned all at once. The restaurant, the ring, the letter. Eleanor's voice from years of polished rooms. Maya sat up slowly and breathed until the pain faded. She found her medical folder and called the nearest clinic from the phone Tessa had given her. The receptionist asked for her name. Maya hesitated. Maya Whitaker. It felt like stepping into an old dress and finding it still fit. The clinic was small, attached to a brick building near a pharmacy and a hardware store. A paper snowflake hung in the window, though Christmas had passed weeks earlier. The waiting room had 6 chairs, a plant that was losing the will to live, and a basket of children's books with torn covers. Dr. Grace Bellamy entered the exam room without rushing. She was in her early 50s with silver threaded through dark hair and calm eyes that seemed to notice everything without demanding a confession. Maya Whitaker. Yes. Dr. Bellamy glanced at the chart, then at Maya's face. 6 months pregnant. Yes. Any complications so far? No. Not exactly. The doctor heard the space between the words. Not exactly is usually where the important things hide. Maya looked down at her hands. Dr. Bellamy did not push. She checked the baby's heartbeat, measured, asked practical questions, and spoke with a steadiness that made the room feel less like a threat. When the fast little rhythm filled the silence, Maya's eyes burned. Dr. Bellamy smiled faintly. There she is. Maya covered her mouth. She is okay. She sounds strong. Strong. The word moved through Maya like warmth. After the exam, Dr. Bellamy sat beside her instead of across from her. I need to ask something uncomfortable. Maya stiffened. Is someone looking for you? The room seemed to shrink. Maya stared at the posters on the wall. Nutrition during pregnancy. Warning signs. Breastfeeding support. Normal things for normal women. Yes, she said. Is he dangerous? Maya thought of Cole kneeling before her when he learned about the baby. Cole holding her after nightmares. Cole saying stay upstairs while men bled behind closed doors. Cole standing in the rain asking her to come home. Then she thought of Eleanor. Everyone says he is. That is not what I asked. Maya closed her eyes. I do not know any more. Dr. Bellamy nodded once. I am not here to judge you. I am here to keep you and your baby alive and well. But I need you to understand something. Privacy is not the same as isolation. You need people. I do not have people here. You have one now. Maya looked at her. The doctor wrote a number on the back of a business card and placed it in Maya's hand. My personal line. If anything feels wrong, even if you cannot explain why, call me. Maya held the card like it weighed more than paper. Why are you helping me? Dr. Bellamy stood. Because women who ask that question usually needed help long before they asked. By the end of the week, Cape May had begun to learn her in small pieces. At Ruth Caldwell's diner, Maya ordered soup because she could not keep much else down. Ruth herself brought it over a broad woman with red glasses, gray curls, and the expression of someone who had heard every lie a person could tell at a counter. You are new, Ruth said. Maya looked up. Is it that obvious? In January. Honey, the only people new in Cape May are contractors, widows, and people running from something. Maya froze. Ruth slid the soup closer. I do not need to know which one you are. I can pay. Good. I was not offering charity. The soup was hot and salty and perfect. Maya ate slowly while rain tapped against the windows. The diner smelled like coffee butter and fried onions. 2 fishermen argued near the door about weather. An old man read a newspaper without turning the page for 20 minutes. No one looked at her like property. When Maya finished, Ruth returned with pie. I did not order that. Baby did. Maya almost smiled. You always blame unborn children for your business decisions. Only the smart ones. A few days later, Ruth offered her a little work in the back office. Receipts. Inventory. Nothing that keeps you on your feet too long. I do not know how long I will stay. Ruth shrugged. Most people do not. Maya accepted because pride was a luxury and money that did not come from Cole felt like oxygen. She built a routine from small acts of survival. Wake before sunrise. Check the locks. Make tea. Walk to the beach if the wind was not too cruel. Work 2 hours at the diner. Rest. Call Tessa from a bench near the water, never from the cottage. Write letters to Lily in a notebook with a blue cover. She never wrote about Cole at first. She wrote about the ocean, about Ruth's terrible jokes, about how the cottage heater sounded like an old man complaining in his sleep. She wrote about fear without naming it. My sweet girl, today I learned that quiet can feel scary when you are used to being watched. I hope you never confuse being watched with being loved. At night, the fear returned. Headlights sliding across the bedroom wall. A car slowing outside. A footstep on the porch that became only wind. Maya slept with her phone under the pillow and a kitchen knife in the drawer beside the bed. She hated the knife. She hated that she knew where it was every second. On the 10th night, the phone rang from a blocked number. Maya stared at it until it stopped. Then it rang again. She answered without speaking. For a moment, there was only soft static. Then Eleanor's voice entered the cottage like perfume over poison. My dear, you have made your point. Maya sat up slowly. How did you get this number? Eleanor ignored the question. Running while pregnant is unwise. Cole is humiliated. The family is concerned. Come home before people begin to believe you are unstable. Maya's hand tightened around the phone. I am not coming back. A faint sigh. You say that because you are emotional. No, I say that because I am awake. The silence that followed was brief and cold. You have no idea what the world does to women alone. I am learning what families do to women they think they own. Eleanor's voice sharpened beneath the softness. You are carrying a Harlan child. I am carrying my daughter. Your daughter will need security, doctors, education, a future. You cannot provide those things from a rented shack near the ocean. Maya looked around the cottage, the chipped mug on the table, the coat over the chair, the ultrasound photo beside the lamp. She needs peace. She needs power. No, that is what you need. For the first time, Eleanor did not answer right away. When she spoke again, her voice had lost its silk. Your father's care is expensive. Your sister is not as careful as she thinks. A lease can be broken. A job can vanish. Accidents happen in ordinary families every day. Maya's blood went cold. You stay away from them. Then stop forcing me to remind you how small your world is. The line went dead. Maya did not move for several seconds. Then she ran to the bathroom and was sick until there was nothing left. Afterward, she sat on the tile floor with one hand pressed to her belly and one hand over her mouth to keep from sobbing too loudly, though no one was there to hear. When she could stand, she called Tessa. Her sister answered with forced cheer. Please tell me this is a craving emergency because I am already wearing shoes. Tessa, listen to me. Has anything happened? What do you mean? Your apartment, Dad's facility, your job. Tessa went quiet. Maya, what happened? My landlord called today. Said there was an issue with my renewal. I thought it was weird, but maybe not. Maya gripped the counter. And Dad? I got a call about a billing review. They said it was routine. Maya closed her eyes. Routine. In Eleanor's mouth, routine meant leash. Maya, what is going on? She called me. Tessa swore under her breath. Cole. No, Eleanor. That name changed the air between them. What did she say? That I should come home. And if you do not? Maya looked at the front window. The dark glass reflected her pale face back at her. She reminded me how small my world is. Tessa's voice hardened. Then we make it bigger. The next morning, Dr. Bellamy drove Maya to meet Sheriff Owen Pike. The sheriff's office looked more like a converted house than a place of law. A coffee machine hissed in the corner. A bulletin board held notices about missing bikes, a winter coat drive, and a town meeting about flood repairs. Sheriff Pike was in his late 40s with tired eyes and a calm that did not ask permission to exist. He listened while Maya told him enough of the truth to make the danger real. Not all of it. Enough. When she finished, he leaned back in his chair. Harlan, as in Philadelphia. Harlan? Maya said nothing. He took that as an answer. People with money often believe jurisdiction is a suggestion. Maya looked at him. And is it not in my office? It was the kind of sentence a person could build a breath around. He sent a deputy to drive past the cottage twice a night. Ruth began closing the diner only after Maya had safely left. Dr. Bellamy scheduled appointments under initials instead of her full name. The circle formed quietly. No speeches. No promises too large to trust. Just people doing ordinary things with uncommon care. Then, 3 nights later, Maya found the envelope. It had been slipped beneath the cottage door while she was making tea. Cream paper. No stamp. No name. Inside was a photograph of the nursery in the Harlan mansion. The gray walls were gone. Sunflowers had been painted along the trim. For one wild second, Maya thought Cole had done it for her. Then she turned the photo over. In Eleanor's elegant handwriting were 7 words. A child belongs where her blood belongs. Maya stood in the kitchen until the kettle screamed. She took the photo to Ruth, who took one look at her face and locked the diner door, even though it was still open for another hour. Dr. Bellamy arrived 10 minutes later. Sheriff Pike arrived 5 minutes after that. He held the photograph with a napkin and placed it in an evidence bag from his car. Maya watched him seal it. "It sounds foolish," she said. "A photograph. A note." Sheriff Pike looked at her. "Ma'am, people do not have to shout to threaten you." Ruth crossed her arms. "And rich women with good handwriting are still criminals if they act like criminals." Maya almost laughed, but the sound broke in her throat. "I do not know how to fight her." Dr. Bellamy touched her shoulder. "You do not fight her alone." That night, Ruth gave Maya the name of an attorney in Atlantic City who had once handled a custody case against a judge and won. Clara Monroe answered her own phone at 9:42 p.m. Her voice was brisk, low, and awake. "Maya Whitaker. Dr. Bellamy said you might call." Maya stood at the cottage window watching Sheriff Pike's patrol car roll slowly past beneath the streetlight. "I am married to Cole Harlan." The line remained silent for 1 beat. Then Clara said, "All right. My mother-in-law is threatening my family. I am pregnant. I left my wedding ring in Philadelphia, and I think that may have started a war I do not know how to survive." Papers rustled on Clara's end. "Do you have proof of the threats?" Maya looked at the evidence bag on the table. "I have a photograph, a note, a call log. Maybe more if I stop being scared long enough to look." Clara's voice softened, but only slightly. "Fear is useful if you let it point instead of rule." Maya closed her eyes. "I do not want my daughter raised inside that house." Then we begin there. Outside, the ocean struck the shore again and again, steady as a heartbeat. Maya looked at the bare place on her finger, then at Lily's name engraved on the tiny bracelet beside the lamp. For the first time since she left Philadelphia, she did not feel like a woman disappearing. She felt like a woman leaving a trail. The trail began with a photograph, a phone call, and a woman who had spent too many years mistaking fear for privacy. Clara Monroe arrived in Cape May the next morning in a navy coat, black boots, and the steady expression of someone who had made rich men regret speaking too loudly. She did not look impressed by the ocean, the Harlan name, or the fact that Maya had barely slept. They met in the back room of Ruth's diner before opening. Ruth poured coffee for Clara, tea for Maya. then stood near the door with her arms folded like a guard who happened to smell faintly of cinnamon rolls. Clara spread a legal pad on the table. "Start at the beginning," she said. Maya looked down at her hands. "The beginning is complicated. It usually is. I saw my husband with another woman." Clara did not write yet. "Did you see an affair, or did you see a scene?" The question landed strangely. Maya had expected pity, outrage, maybe the soft, careful voice people used around pregnant women and broken things. Clara gave her neither. Maya saw the restaurant again. Gold light, glass wall. Scarlett's red mouth near Cole's ear. Cole sitting still too long. His hand under hers for a moment before he pulled away. His eyes finding Maya through the glass. "I saw enough to leave," Maya said. "That is not what I asked." Maya lifted her eyes. "I saw a scene." Clara nodded and began writing. For the next 2 hours, Maya spoke. Not cleanly, not in order. She gave Clara pieces, and Clara placed them where they belonged. The anniversary dinner, the ring on the pillow, Eleanor's comments about the baby, the changed doctor, the nursery plan, the blocked calls, the threat against Tessa and their father. The photograph slipped under the cottage door. When Maya finished, her tea had gone cold. Clara tapped her pen once against the table. "Your mother-in-law is not only trying to scare you, she is building a custody record." Maya's stomach tightened. "What does that mean?" "It means every call where you sound upset, every missed appointment, every time she can show you left the marital home while pregnant, she may try to turn it into evidence that you are unstable." Ruth made a sound that was almost a growl. "That woman needs a hobby." Clara looked at Maya. "Cole matters here. Not because you need him, but because his position changes what Eleanor can do." Maya looked away. "I do not know where he stands. Then we find out before Eleanor writes the story for him." Clara called Cole that afternoon from Sheriff Pike's office. Maya sat beside the desk, one hand on her belly while rain gathered on the windows. Clara put the call on speaker. Cole answered on the first ring. "Who is this Clara Monroe?" "I represent Maya Whitaker." Silence. Then his voice changed. "Is she safe?" Maya closed her eyes. Clara watched her face carefully. "She is alive. She is under medical care. She is not available for private conversation. I want to hear her voice. You do not get what you want because you are frightened, Mr. Harlan." Another silence. Longer this time. When Cole spoke again, the command had left his voice. "What does she need?" Maya opened her eyes. Clara glanced at her. "She needs temporary custody protections. She needs your family to stop contacting her. She needs no surveillance, no pressure, no men in cars outside her residence. She needs you to confirm in writing that she left because she had reason to fear interference from your mother." Cole breathed once through the phone. "My mother contacted her." Clara said nothing. Cole's voice lowered. "What did Eleanor do?" Maya felt something twist inside her. There was anger in his voice, but under it was something raw. Shame, maybe, or disbelief cracking open too late. Clara answered, "Enough that I am advising my client to preserve all evidence. I am coming there." Maya sat up. Clara's voice sharpened. "No, you are not. I need to see my wife. Maya is not a possession you recover. If she agrees to meet, it happens in a public place with conditions and you come alone." The line went quiet again. Maya expected the old Cole then, the one who turned silence into threat, the one who made men shift their weight and lower their eyes. Instead, he said, "Ask her." Clara looked at Maya. Maya stared at the rain. Every part of her body remembered him before her mind could stop it. His hand at the small of her back. His voice in the dark. The way he had knelt before her when she told him about the baby. The way he had failed to rise when Scarlett leaned close. She swallowed. "Ruth's diner," she said. "Tomorrow morning. He comes alone." Cole arrived at 8:12 without a convoy. That alone was enough to make Ruth pause behind the counter. He stepped out of a plain gray car parked across the street, not a black SUV, not a driver in sight. He wore a dark coat, no tie, and looked like a man who had slept only in fragments. His cheek carried the faint yellow trace of a healing mark. Maya noticed it before she could stop herself. He did not enter the diner immediately. He saw her through the window and stopped on the sidewalk, as if the glass between them had become a line he no longer trusted himself to cross. Ruth leaned close to Maya. "You want me to throw coffee if he acts stupid?" Maya almost smiled. "Hot or cold?" "Depends how stupid." Cole entered slowly. The bell above the door rang. Every person in the diner looked at him and then pretended not to. He approached the booth but did not sit. Maya. Her name in his mouth almost broke something. She kept both hands around her mug. "Cole." His eyes moved to her belly and stayed there for half a second too long, full of hunger and grief. Then he forced them back to her face. "I did not come to take you home. That is good because I am not going. I know. You do not know anything yet." He accepted that. Ruth appeared beside the table. "Coffee." Cole looked at her. "Yes, please." Ruth stared. "I was talking to her." Maya's mouth twitched despite herself. Cole lowered his eyes. "No, thank you." Maya watched him absorb small humiliation without turning it into punishment. It was new enough to frighten her. "Sit," she said. He did. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Outside, the wet street reflected a pale winter sky. Inside, plates clinked, coffee poured. Ordinary life continued around a conversation that might decide the shape of a child's future. Cole placed his hands flat on the table. "My mother staged the dinner." Maya's throat tightened. "You know that I know she arranged the meeting. I know she knew you were coming. I know Scarlett was not there by accident." Maya looked at his hands. Strong. Still. Hands that had held her. Hands that had signed orders she had never wanted to understand. "And you." He took the blow before she fully delivered it. "I should have left the moment I saw what Scarlett was doing." "Yes. I should have told my mother no years ago." "Yes. I should have listened when you told me the house was swallowing you." Maya looked up then. Cole's face was pale, but he did not look away. "I do not know how to make that right," he said. "I only know I do not get to call my guilt your burden." The words moved through her carefully guarded heart and found a place that still hurt. She hated him for knowing the right thing now. "My rules are simple," she said. He nodded. "You do not come to my cottage unless I invite you. You do not speak to my doctor. You do not contact Tessa. You do not send men to watch me and call it security. You do not ask where I sleep, what I eat, who I see, or whether I miss you." His jaw tightened at the last one, but he said nothing. "And Lily is not an heir." Maya continued. "Not to your money, not to your violence, not to your mother's fantasy." Cole's eyes shone. "No. She is a baby. Yes, my baby. Our baby," he said softly, then corrected himself before she could speak. "Your body, your choice. Our daughter, if you allow me to be her father in a way that does not cost either of you peace." Maya looked toward the window because looking at him was becoming dangerous. "Do not say beautiful things if you cannot live them." Cole's voice was low. "I know." Clara began with Scarlett Reeve 3 days later. Scarlett tried not to be found. That was her first mistake. Clara liked people better when they were difficult. It gave her legal permission to enjoy herself. They met in a hotel bar outside Atlantic City, where Scarlett arrived in sunglasses despite the gray afternoon. She wore camel cashmere diamond studs and fear disguised as annoyance. "I have nothing to say." Clara opened a folder. "That is almost never true." Scarlett looked around. "Is Maya here?" "No." "Good." Clara's eyes narrowed. "Do you feel safer when pregnant women you helped terrorize are not in the room?" Scarlett's mouth tightened. "You do not know what happened. I know Eleanor Harlan paid off a restaurant manager 2 days before the dinner. I know your family received favorable contract language the morning after. I know you were seen entering Eleanor's private office the week before the incident. I know Cole Harlan is prepared to state under oath that the dinner was arranged under false pretenses." Scarlett went still. Clara leaned in. "And I know Eleanor will feed you to federal wolves the moment she needs a prettier scapegoat." The color left Scarlett's face. She said it would make Maya leave. Clara did not blink. "Continue." "She said Maya was unstable, that she was hurting Cole's position, that the baby needed to be raised properly." "Did you know Maya was pregnant?" Scarlett looked down. "Not at first. At the restaurant." Scarlett swallowed. "When she walked in, yes." "And you still kissed him." "It was barely a kiss." Clara's voice cut cleanly. "It was enough to make a wife place her wedding ring on a pillow and disappear into winter." Scarlett's eyes filled, but Clara did not soften. "I want a recorded statement," Clara said. Scarlett whispered, "Eleanor will ruin me." Clara closed the folder. "She already has. You are only deciding whether to stand under the wreckage or walk out before it falls." Scarlett signed before sunset. In Philadelphia, Cole returned to his father's study for the first time since Maya left. The room smelled of leather dust and old cigars. Victor Harlan's portrait still hung above the fireplace, stern and watchful. Cole had avoided the files after the funeral. Grief had been easier to convert into work. Work into violence. Violence into obedience. Now he opened the locked drawers one by one. He found ledgers, contracts, letters from politicians, shipping agreements, and old medical invoices. Nothing at first. Then, too much. A payment to a private nurse made 3 days after Victor's death. A pharmacy receipt for medication Victor had never been prescribed. A note in Eleanor's handwriting beside the name Dr. Howard Vale. "Handle before he speaks to Cole." Cole sat back slowly. The room seemed to darken around the edges. He remembered his father 2 weeks before his death standing in the garden with Maya. Victor had looked thinner then, but clear, angry, determined. Later that same night, Victor had come into Cole's study and poured 2 drinks. "Your mother thinks mercy is rot," Victor said. Cole had been impatient. "She thinks softness invites enemies." Victor looked at him for a long time. "You use her words when you are too tired to find your own." Cole had bristled. Victor placed a folder on the desk. "There are pieces of this business that need to die with me. You are not dying. All men are dying. I am simply organizing." Cole almost smiled. Victor did not. "Listen to me. If you ever have a wife, a child, anything clean, do not bring them to this altar and call it protection." Cole had not understood, or he had chosen not to. Now holding the pharmacy receipt, he finally did. Miles Deacon found him near midnight, still surrounded by files. "Boss." Cole did not look up. "Find Nurse Paula Sykes." Miles hesitated. "That name is old." "So is the sin. Do you think your mother had something to do with Victor?" Cole folded the receipt. "I think my father wanted out. I think my mother wanted the family intact. I think 2 weeks later he was dead." Miles looked toward the portrait. "Eleanor is not going to let you dig." Cole stood. She does not get to decide what stays buried anymore. Agent Daniel Mercer entered the case through Clara, but he had been circling the Harlans for years. He had patient eyes, a tired suit, and the worn calm of a man who had learned not every criminal looked guilty in photographs. He met Maya in the diner after closing. Ruth remained in the kitchen, loudly washing dishes she had already washed twice. Mercer placed his badge on the table, not for drama, but for clarity. "Mrs. Harlan, Maya Whitaker," she said. He nodded once. "Maya, your attorney gave me Scarlett Reeves' statement, the photograph, the call records, and the information from Mr. Harlan's office. I need to be direct. Eleanor Harlan is not a woman who threatens lightly. I know. She may have people in law enforcement, in medicine, in the courts. She may try to make you look frightened enough to be unreliable." Maya looked at the baby bracelet on her wrist. She had started wearing it there because keeping it in a drawer felt wrong. "I am frightened." Mercer's face did not change. Frightened is not unreliable. Silent is useful to people like her. Maya looked at him. "What do you need from me?" The truth repeated even when powerful people call it something else. She gave a small, humorless laugh. "That sounds exhausting." "It is." At the Harlan mansion, Eleanor received Cole in the formal dining room. She was arranging white roses in a crystal vase, trimming stems with silver shears. The room was set for 12, though no one else was coming. Cole stood at the far end of the table. "I found the records." Eleanor clipped another stem. "Which records Victor's medication? Paula Sykes, Howard Vale. The payment after his death." The shears paused. Only for a moment. Then she continued. "Your father was ill. He was leaving the business. He was betraying the family." Cole stepped closer. "Did you kill him?" Eleanor placed the shears down with care. "You always ask questions like your father when you are trying to feel righteous. Answer me." She turned. Her eyes were cold but not empty. That was worse. There was love in them, twisted beyond recognition, love that had hardened into ownership. Victor forgot that a family like ours survives by being feared. He wanted me free. He wanted you weak. He wanted me alive. Eleanor smiled faintly. "You are alive because I stayed strong after he failed." Cole stared at her, and the last child in him went quiet. "You did it. I preserved what men were too sentimental to protect." The confession was not clean. It was worse than clean. It came wrapped in belief. Cole's voice broke only once. "He trusted you. He underestimated me." The words settled between them like ash. Cole took out his phone. Eleanor's smile faded. "You recorded this, no?" He looked toward the doorway where Agent Mercer stepped into view with 2 federal officers behind him. But the room did. Eleanor did not panic. She straightened her pearls. She looked at Mercer, then at Cole, and finally her face changed. Not fear. Disappointment. "You brought strangers into your father's house." Cole said no. "You made it a crime scene." Mercer moved forward. "Eleanor Harlan. We have questions regarding witness tampering, extortion, obstruction, and the death of Victor Harlan." Eleanor did not look at him. She looked only at her son. "That woman has made you soft." Cole's answer was quiet. "No. She made me human." For the first time, Eleanor's voice sharpened with something almost like rage. "Then I will bury the human part first." The officers did not arrest her that night. Mercer did not yet have enough for cuffs, only enough for pressure. Eleanor knew it. Cole knew it. Everyone in the room understood the war had moved from shadow to record. Cole left the mansion before dawn. In Cape May, Maya woke to wind rattling the bedroom window hard enough to shake the frame. The cottage was cold. The ocean sounded closer than usual, angry and deep. She sat up, one hand going instinctively to her stomach. A sharp pain moved through her lower back. She waited for it to pass. It did. Then another came lower this time, strong enough to steal her breath. Maya gripped the edge of the mattress and looked toward the nightstand where Lily's bracelet caught the weak gray light. Outside, the first hard snow began striking the glass. The first contraction folded Maya forward before she could understand what her body was telling her. She sat on the edge of the bed with both feet on the cold floor, one hand gripping the quilt, the other pressed against the hard curve of her stomach. The cottage moaned around her. Wind pushed at the walls. Snow struck the windows in fast white bursts, melting into streaks before freezing again along the glass. "No," she whispered. The word sounded small in the room. Another pain came 10 minutes later. This one started in her back and wrapped around her like a fist. Maya shut her eyes, breathed through her nose, and tried to remember everything Dr. Bellamy had told her. False labor could happen. Fear could make the body tighten. Panic lied. Pain needed timing before it became a decision. She reached for the phone on the nightstand and opened the timer with shaking fingers. When the third contraction came, she was standing in the kitchen with one palm flat on the counter and the other clutching the phone so tightly her knuckles burned. 7 minutes apart. Outside, the street had vanished beneath snow. The porch light glowed weakly through the storm. Beyond the dunes, the Atlantic roared like something alive and angry. Maya called Dr. Bellamy. The doctor answered after one ring. "Maya, I think something is happening." Dr. Bellamy's voice sharpened without becoming frantic. "Tell me." Maya gave her the times, the pressure, the ache in her lower back, the sudden tightness that came and went like waves too close together. "How much water have you had today?" "Not enough." "Any bleeding?" "No." "Can you feel the baby moving?" Maya pressed her palm to her belly. For one terrible second, nothing. Then Lily shifted. Maya let out a breath that was almost a sob. "Yes." She moved. "Good. Listen to me carefully. I want you to put on warm clothes, bring your medical folder, and stay away from the stairs. I am sending Ruth." Maya looked toward the window as snow blurred the dark street. "She cannot drive in this. She has been driving in shore storms since before half this town was born. Sheriff Pike is already on weather calls. I will reach him." Another contraction began low and hard. Maya bent over the counter. Dr. Bellamy's voice stayed with her. "Breathe in for 4, out for 6. Do not fight the pain. Let it pass through." Maya tried. The sound that left her was raw and frightened. "I am not ready." No woman ever feels ready when her body makes the announcement first. It is too early. "It may be. That is why we are not waiting." Maya looked at the baby bracelet on the table, the tiny letters spelling Lily beneath the kitchen light. "I do not want to do this alone." "You are not alone." The line crackled once. "Maya, I need you to hear me. Fear is not an instruction. Breathe first, decide second." Maya repeated it under her breath after the call ended. "Fear is not an instruction." She dressed slowly, stopping twice for contractions. Sweater, coat, boots, scarf, medical folder, the phone charger. Tessa's old scarf because leaving it behind felt impossible. When she opened the front door, the wind slapped her breath away. Ruth's truck pulled into the drive 15 minutes later, headlights cutting crooked tunnels through the snow. The old red pickup looked too stubborn to die. Ruth climbed out in a heavy coat and boots, her gray curls tucked beneath a knit hat carrying blankets in one arm and a thermos under the other. She took one look at Maya's face. "All right, honey. We are not doing heroics on the porch." Maya tried to answer, but another contraction hit. Ruth dropped the blankets on a chair and came to her side. "Lean on me. I am too heavy. You are pregnant, not made of concrete. Lean." Maya did. Ruth held her as the contraction passed, solid and warm and unshaken. When Maya could breathe again, tears had frozen on her cheeks. "I am scared," Maya said. Ruth looked at her with fierce tenderness. "I know. We are doing it scared." Sheriff Pike arrived as Ruth helped Maya down the porch steps. His cruiser stopped behind the pickup lights, flashing red and blue against the snow. He got out with his hat low and his coat collar turned up. "Road to the clinic is ugly," he called. "But open," Ruth shouted back. "Then make it prettier." Pike gave her a flat look. "That your medical opinion?" "That is my driving opinion." Maya was tucked into the passenger seat of Ruth's truck with blankets around her legs. The cab smelled like coffee, peppermint, and old leather. Ruth reached across and buckled the seatbelt low beneath Maya's belly with careful hands. "You tell me when one starts," Ruth said. Maya nodded. The drive felt both too fast and impossibly slow. Sheriff Pike led them through white streets where the houses were dark and half-hidden. Snow spun in the headlights. Wind shoved the truck from the side. Ruth drove with both hands on the wheel, jaw set, muttering at the weather like it was a rude customer. At the edge of town, Maya's phone rang. Cole. His name filled the screen. Maya stared at it until her vision blurred. Ruth glanced over. "You want me to answer?" Maya shook her head. The phone stopped. Then Clara called. Maya answered on speaker because her hands were shaking. "Clara, Maya, Dr. Bellamy called me. Cole knows you are in labor." Maya closed her eyes. "How?" "Because I told him enough to keep him from finding out through someone worse. He asked whether he is allowed to come." Maya turned her face toward the window. The world outside was all white motion and black water beyond it. Another contraction gripped her, and she made a small sound she could not hold back. Ruth reached over and took her hand. Clara's voice softened. "Maya, you do not owe him the room." Maya breathed through the pain. Cole at the restaurant. Cole on his knees when she told him about Lily. Cole saying he did not come to take her home. Cole sitting in Ruth's diner and letting every rule stand. Her heart was not healed. It was not even close. But her body remembered his voice in the dark. And labor made liars of pride and fear both. "He can come," Maya said when the contraction released. "But only if he comes alone. If he brings men, he leaves. If he gives one order to my doctor, he leaves. If he tries to make a decision for me, he leaves." Clara repeated it calmly. "I will tell him exactly." Maya's voice broke. "And Clara, yes, if I change my mind, then he leaves." Ruth squeezed Maya's hand. "That is how a room should work." By the time they reached the clinic, the lights had flickered twice. Dr. Bellamy was waiting at the side entrance with 2 nurses and a wheelchair. Maya refused until the next contraction changed her opinion. Inside the clinic had been transformed by urgency. Towels warmed in a small cabinet, supplies laid out, monitors ready. A generator hummed somewhere beneath the building. The waiting room lights flickered with every strong gust, but the exam room was warm. "Doctor." Bellamy checked Maya while Ruth stood near the door with crossed arms as if daring the universe to misbehave. Maya watched the doctor's face. "Tell me the truth." Dr. Bellamy removed her gloves and met her eyes. "You are in labor." Maya's breath caught. "It is too soon." "Yes." "Is she in danger?" "She is early, but her heartbeat is strong. We are watching both of you closely. I want you transferred if the road clears enough, but right now the safest thing is keeping you stable here." Maya nodded because nodding was easier than falling apart. Then the pain came again, stronger than before, and the room narrowed to breath pressure. Ruth's hand. Dr. Bellamy's voice. At 10:37 p.m., Cole arrived. Maya did not see him at first. She heard the outer door open, heard low voices, heard Clara, calm and sharp, speaking to someone in the hall. Then Cole appeared in the doorway. He was soaked in snow hair, damp coat, open face, pale with fear he had not bothered to hide. He stopped at the threshold and did not step inside. For once, he waited as if permission mattered more than panic. Maya was propped against pillows, exhausted already, hair stuck to her face, one hand gripping the sheet. Cole looked at her like the sight had split him open. She hated how badly she wanted him closer. "Do not stand there looking tragic," she said, voice rough. "Hold my hand." He crossed the room immediately. Not too fast. Not like a man taking territory. Like a man answering. He removed his coat before he reached her, then took her hand in both of his. His fingers were cold. She squeezed so hard his jaw tightened. "Do not flinch," she said. "I will not." Another contraction came. Maya cried out, and Cole leaned close, not crowding her, just near enough for her to hear him. "Breathe with me. Do not tell me what to do." His voice softened. "Then I will breathe where you can hear it." He did. In for 4. Out for 6. Doctor. Bellamy moved around them with practiced calm. Ruth stood at Maya's other side and wiped her forehead with a cool cloth. Outside the room, Clara took calls. Sheriff Pike spoke with dispatch. The storm slammed against the building, but inside the little clinic the world had narrowed to a woman, a child, and the fragile circle trying to bring them both safely through. Cole did not make calls. He did not threaten anyone. He did not ask for another doctor. Once, when a nurse adjusted a monitor and Maya whimpered, Cole's old anger flashed across his face. Maya saw it and tightened her hand around his. "Cole." He looked at her. "No." One word. He understood. The anger went back behind his eyes, caged by choice instead of control. "Yes," he said quietly. Hours blurred. Maya lost track of time. She measured existence by contractions and moments of rest. Sometimes she cursed. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she whispered that she could not do it, and every time, "Doctor." Bellamy told her she already was. Cole stayed. When Maya wanted water, he held the straw. When she shoved his hand away, he let go. When she reached for him again, he was still there. At some point in the space between pain, she looked at him. "I left the ring." His face changed. "I know. I wanted you to feel it." "I did." "No." Her eyes filled. "I wanted you to feel even a piece of what it was like to be left in that house alone." Cole lowered his forehead to their joined hands. "I am sorry." She closed her eyes. "Do not waste sorry tonight." He lifted his head. "What do you need?" She looked at him for a long moment. "Stay quiet. Stay steady. Stay here until I tell you not to." "I can do that." Maya's laugh broke into a sob. "You should have learned sooner." "I know." That was all he said. No defense. No explanation. Just the truth, bare enough to fit inside the room. Near dawn, the labor changed. Maya felt it before anyone told her. A pressure, deep and overwhelming, a force older than fear. Her body bore down and panic rose with it. Dr. Bellamy checked her again, then looked up. "Maya, it is time." Maya shook her head. "No. No, I cannot." Ruth leaned close. "Yes, you can. I am tired. I know. It hurts. I know." Maya turned to Cole, suddenly furious. "This is your fault." A nurse made a small sound that might have been a laugh. Cole nodded, eyes wet. "Yes." Maya glared. "You are supposed to say it is not. I am not arguing with you in labor." "Coward!" "Yes." Despite everything, Ruth laughed out loud. The laugh cracked the terror just enough for Maya to breathe. Then Dr. Bellamy's voice became the center of the room. On the next contraction, Maya, chin down. Hold behind your knees. Push into the pressure. Maya screamed through the first push. Cole held her shoulder and her hand useless and necessary all at once. Ruth counted. Dr. Bellamy guided. The nurses moved with quiet urgency. Again. Again. The storm outside began to fade from her awareness. There was no mansion, no Eleanor, no restaurant, no ring, no empire waiting to claim the child before she had taken her first breath. There was only Maya's body opening around pain and love. "I see her," Dr. Bellamy said. Maya sobbed. "I cannot." Cole's voice broke beside her. "Maya, look at me." She did. His face was ruined by fear and awe and something like prayer. "You are the strongest person I have ever known." She wanted to tell him to shut up. Instead, she pushed. One final, tearing, impossible push. Then the room changed. A cry split the air. Small, furious, alive. Maya froze. For one suspended second, she did not breathe. Then Dr. Bellamy lifted a tiny, slippery, wailing baby into the light. "She is here," the doctor said. "Maya, she is here." The nurses moved quickly, but not so quickly that Maya could not see her. Dark hair, red face, tiny fists clenched as if she had arrived ready to fight the whole Harlan bloodline herself. Maya began to sob with her whole body. Dr. Bellamy placed the baby on her chest. Warm weight, wet skin. A cry softening against Maya's heartbeat. Maya wrapped both arms around her daughter and lowered her mouth to the baby's head. "Hi, Lily," she whispered. "Hi, my sweet girl." Cole covered his mouth with one hand. For the first time in his life, power had nothing to offer him. Not one useful thing. He could not command the sun up faster. He could not buy more air for the tiny lungs crying against Maya's chest. He could not threaten the world into deserving this child. He could only kneel beside the bed and weep silently where no one asked him to be ashamed. Maya looked at him through tears. "She is not an heir." Cole shook his head. "No, she is not your mother's legacy. No, she is not a reason to own me." His voice barely held. "No, Maya." Lily's tiny hand opened against Maya's skin. Cole reached out, then stopped before touching her. Maya noticed. After a long moment, she whispered, "You can touch her foot." Cole's fingers trembled as he touched the baby's tiny heel. Lily kicked weakly. Cole laughed once, a broken sound full of wonder. "She hates me already." Maya's mouth curved through tears. "She has good instincts." He looked up at her. For a second they were not healed, but they were there. All three of them, breathing inside the same fragile morning. While Lily took her first breaths in Cape May, Eleanor Harlan stood in her Philadelphia dressing room fastening pearl earrings. The federal warrant arrived at 6:18 a.m. Agent Mercer entered through the front door with officers behind him and Clara on the phone in his ear, confirming that Maya and the baby were alive. Snow had reached Philadelphia in thinner sheets, dusting the black iron gates and the stone lions outside the Harlan estate. Eleanor came down the staircase in a pearl gray coat, every silver hair in place. The staff had gathered in doorways, pale and silent. Mercer waited at the foot of the stairs. Eleanor Harlan. She looked past him toward the hall. "Where is my son?" Mercer did not answer that. "We have a warrant for your arrest." Eleanor descended one step at a time. "On what fantasy extortion, witness intimidation, obstruction of justice, conspiracy related to the death of Victor Harlan. Additional charges are pending." The room seemed to inhale. Eleanor's face did not change, but her fingers tightened once on the banister. You have been very busy. So have you. An officer moved behind her. Eleanor looked toward Victor's portrait in the main hall, then toward the open front doors where reporters had already begun gathering beyond the gate. Someone inside the house had called them. Perhaps Mercer. Perhaps Cole. Perhaps one of the servants who had spent years listening from corners and finally wanted to watch the Queen leave through her own front door. As the officer placed cuffs around her wrists, Eleanor said, "Careful. That photograph will not be flattering." Mercer looked at her. "Neither is the evidence." Outside, cameras flashed. Eleanor walked between the officers with her chin high. No tears, no pleading, no lowered head. At the gate, Cole stood in the snow. He had returned from Cape May only long enough to see this done. His face was drawn, his coat wrinkled from the night, his eyes red from the birth of his daughter and the death of whatever loyalty had survived inside him. Eleanor stopped when she saw him. For a moment she looked almost pleased. "You came to your senses." Cole said nothing. Then she noticed he was not standing beside her car. He was standing beside Mercer's. Her expression hardened. "You would humiliate your mother in front of strangers." Cole walked closer, stopping just beyond the reach of the officers. "You humiliated my wife in front of a city. She left you. You drove her out. She made you weak." Cole looked at his mother's cuffed hands. Those hands had arranged flowers, signed checks, touched his face when he was a boy, and built a cage so slowly that he had mistaken its bars for walls. "No," he said. "She made me honest." Eleanor's eyes sharpened. "Honesty will not keep you alive. Maybe not. It will not keep them safe." Cole's jaw tightened at them. "Maya. Lily." Eleanor saw the wound and pressed. "You think that little town can protect her? You think a diner woman, a country doctor, and a tired sheriff can stand between your enemies and your child?" Cole stepped closer. "My child has more protection in one honest room than she ever would have under your roof." Eleanor smiled, cold and certain. "She will leave you again." Cole's face shifted, but he did not look away. "Then I will deserve it if I become you." For the first time, something like rage broke through Eleanor's control. "You foolish boy." "No," Cole said. "Just no longer yours." The officers guided her into the car. Eleanor looked back once before the door closed. Not at the mansion. At Cole. Then she was gone. When Cole returned to Cape May that evening, the storm had weakened into soft snow. The clinic windows glowed yellow against the dark. Ruth was asleep in a waiting room chair with her mouth open and one hand still wrapped around a paper coffee cup. Sheriff Pike stood near the entrance, speaking quietly with Clara. Dr. Bellamy passed Cole in the hall and stopped him with one look. "She is exhausted," the doctor said. Cole nodded. "The baby's small but breathing well. We are watching her closely." His throat worked. "Can I see them?" Dr. Bellamy studied him. "I will ask Maya." Cole stood in the hall and waited. He had never hated waiting more. He had never needed it more. When Dr. Bellamy returned, she opened the door wider. 5 minutes. And if she closes her eyes, you leave." Cole entered quietly. Maya lay against the pillows, pale and beautiful in a way that made his chest hurt. Her hair was loose around her face. Lily slept in a clear bassinet beside the bed, wrapped in a soft white blanket with no crest, no family mark, no name stitched by someone trying to claim her. Just white cotton. Just warmth. Just a baby. Maya opened her eyes when he came in. "Is she arrested?" "Yes." Maya looked at the ceiling and tears slipped silently into her hair. Cole moved no closer. "She was taken from the mansion this morning. Mercer has Scarlett's statement, the nurse's statement, financial records, the recording from the dining room. Clara says the first hearing will be ugly, but Eleanor will not get near you. Maya's eyes closed for a moment. Good. He reached into his coat pocket. Maya opened her eyes again when he placed something on the small table beside her bed. Her wedding ring. The diamond caught the low light. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. Maya stared at it as if it belonged to a woman she used to know. Cole's voice was quiet. I am not asking you to wear it. Good. I am not asking you to come back. Good. I just wanted to return it without pretending it fixes anything. Maya looked from the ring to him. That sentence felt different from the old promises. It did not shine. It did not demand. It stood there plainly like a man with empty hands. Lily made a soft sound in the bassinet. Both of them turned at once. Cole stepped toward the baby, then stopped. Maya watched him. You can pick her up. He looked back at her, startled. Are you sure? No, but you can. He washed his hands twice, then approached the bassinet like it held something holy enough to burn him. Maya guided him with a tired voice, and Dr. Bellamy, watching from the doorway, corrected the angle of his arm. When Lily was placed against his chest, Cole stopped breathing. Support her head, Maya murmured. I am. Not like she is evidence. His mouth trembled. I do not know how to hold something this small. Maya looked at him, at the feared man who had once made Philadelphia lower its voice, now terrified by 7 pounds of sleeping baby. Carefully, she said. Cole looked down at Lily. Her face wrinkled, her mouth opened. She fussed softly, unimpressed by him. I know, he whispered. I would not trust me either. Maya's eyes filled again, but this time she did not turn away. Cole sat in the chair beside the bed, holding their daughter while the snow fell beyond the window. The room was quiet, except for Lily's tiny breaths, the soft hum of heat, and the distant ocean moving in the dark. On the table the ring remained untouched, not rejected, not accepted, only waiting beside the life that had arrived without permission from any empire. The ring stayed on the table for 3 days. Maya saw it every time she opened her eyes. It sat beside a plastic water cup, a stack of medical forms, and a tiny hospital hat Lily had worn for less than an hour before kicking it loose with the fury of a child already offended by rules. The diamond looked strange under clinic lights, smaller than it had looked in the mansion, less powerful, almost lonely. Cole never touched it. He came when Maya allowed him to come. He left when she closed her eyes. He learned the rhythm of the room by watching the women who had earned the right to move inside it. Dr. Bellamy checked Lily. Ruth brought food. Maya did not ask for, but ate anyway. Clara handled calls in the hallway. Tessa arrived from Philadelphia with swollen eyes, 2 bags of baby clothes, and a willingness to murder Cole that she did not bother hiding. When Tessa first saw him holding Lily, she stopped in the doorway. Cole looked up. Tessa. She crossed the room, kissed Maya's forehead, and looked at the baby. She is perfect. Maya smiled faintly. She is loud. Good. Runs in the family. Then Tessa turned to Cole. If you make my sister cry again, I will ruin your life in a very ordinary way. No mafia drama. No grand revenge. I will just make every room you enter deeply uncomfortable. Cole nodded. That is fair. It was not a joke. I know. Tessa studied him for a long moment, searching for arrogance and finding only exhaustion. Maya watched the exchange quietly. The old Cole would have bristled. He would have reminded Tessa who he was. He would have frozen the room until everyone remembered his name came with consequences. This Cole lowered his eyes and accepted the hatred he had helped earn. That mattered. Not enough, but it mattered. Eleanor's arrest did not end the Harlan Empire. Empires did not collapse like houses in movies. They rotted first. They cracked behind walls. They made desperate phone calls and moved money through quiet channels. They sent loyal men to ask questions that sounded polite until they did not. By the end of the first week, Cole was back in Philadelphia, standing in his father's study while lawyers argued in low voices, and Miles Deacon waited near the fireplace with a face like bad weather. The mansion had changed since Eleanor was taken from it. Not physically. The marble still shone. The portraits still watched. The staff still moved softly through halls designed to make human beings feel temporary. But the air had shifted. Without Eleanor, the house seemed less like a palace and more like a crime that had been decorated well. Miles handed Cole a folder. "You sign these, we cut off 3 operations by Friday." Cole opened it. 3 shipping private security contracts and the clubs. The clubs are laundering fronts. Yes. Then they close. Miles exhaled through his nose. It is not that simple. Cole looked up. It is exactly that simple. No. Simple is giving the order. The consequences are not simple. Men depend on those channels. Men with guns. Men with memories. Men who liked your mother because she never pretended to have a conscience. Cole closed the folder. My daughter was born in a clinic during a storm because my family made a mansion unsafe for her mother. I am done negotiating with ghosts. Miles looked toward Victor's portrait. People will call this weakness. Cole followed his gaze. For years he had measured himself against that painted face. Victor Harlan, king of docks and debts, builder of rooms where men made promises with blood under their fingernails. But now Cole remembered another Victor. A tired man in a winter garden warning Maya not to disappear. Let them call it what they understand, Cole said. He signed the first document, then the second. By the time the sun went down, half the men who had once waited for Cole's orders were calling each other in fear. Accounts were frozen. Certain warehouses were emptied under federal supervision. Lawyers rushed in and out. Politicians stopped answering phones. Men who had toasted the Harlan name at fundraisers began claiming they had barely known the family. Cole watched it happen without flinching. That night he walked through the nursery Eleanor had built. The sunflower trim had been painted over the gray walls, but even that no longer felt like a gift. It felt like another theft. Eleanor had taken Maya's wish and turned it into bait. Cole stood in the doorway and looked at the crib, the silver rattle, the expensive curtains, the embroidered blankets carrying a crest Lily had never asked to inherit. The next morning, he ordered every item boxed and donated except one small wooden rocking horse Victor had carved before Cole was born. He stared at it for a long time before placing it in his car. When he returned to Cape May, Maya had been moved from the clinic to the cottage with strict instructions, extra blankets, and Ruth acting like a military commander in an apron. Cole did not go inside. He stood on the porch with the wooden horse in his hands while Tessa answered the door. She looked at the object. "What is that?" "Something from my father." "For Lily, if Maya wants it." Tessa opened the door wider but did not invite him in. "Maya is asleep." "Good." He placed the horse carefully near the doorway. Tessa watched him. "You drove 2 hours to drop off a toy and leave?" "Yes." "That is weirdly respectful." "I am practicing." She almost smiled, then caught herself. "You still have a long way to go." "I know." Inside, Maya woke later and found the rocking horse near the wall. The wood was old, smooth, and worn where small hands had once touched it. There was no crest carved into the side, no family motto, no gold plate. Just a child's toy made by a man who had once tried too late to save something clean. Maya ran her fingers over the curved mane. Tessa stood beside her. "You want me to throw it out?" Maya shook her head. "No. You sure know." But not everything from his family was poison. Tessa looked at her carefully. "That does not mean you have to let him back in." Maya looked toward the bassinet where Lily slept with her tiny mouth open and one fist pressed beside her cheek. I know. The first months were built from small permissions. Cole could visit on Tuesdays and Fridays for 1 hour, then 3 times a week. Then longer if Lily was awake and Maya felt steady. He never came without asking. He never brought men. He never stood too close to the doorway as if waiting made him entitled. He arrived with diapers, formula, groceries, and once a bag of baby socks so tiny and impractical that Maya looked inside and raised an eyebrow. She has feet, Cole said. She has enough socks for 12 babies. I panicked. At socks? At the baby store. There were too many choices. Maya looked at him, then down at the bag. You once negotiated with men who smuggled weapons through a shipping port. Yes, and socks defeated you, completely. For the first time, Maya laughed without pain cutting through it. Cole looked at the sound like a starving man, but he did not reach for more. He learned badly at first. He fastened diapers too loose, then too tight. He warmed bottles unevenly. He whispered to Lily like she was a witness in a trial. He folded onesies with grim concentration. When Lily cried, his face filled with helpless terror. One afternoon, Maya found him pacing the living room with Lily against his shoulder. The baby had finally fallen asleep, but Cole kept moving in slow circles. You can sit down, Maya said. He looked at her. She might wake up. She might. So I should keep walking. You have been walking for 40 minutes. He looked down at Lily. She stopped crying. Yes, I do not want her to think I stop when she gets quiet. Maya felt the words enter her softly and settle where anger still lived. Cole did not seem to realize what he had said. He was too busy adjusting the blanket around Lily's back. Maya turned toward the kitchen before he could see her eyes fill. Healing was not graceful. Some days Maya woke furious. She remembered the glass room Scarlett's mouth, Eleanor's voice, Cole's stillness. She looked at the man changing Lily on the living room floor and wanted to throw every apology he had ever given back in his face. Other days she missed him so sharply it embarrassed her. Once during a storm, thunder cracked over the ocean and Maya froze with Lily in her arms. Cole was there for a visit washing bottles at the sink. He turned at once. Maya. She shook her head. I am fine. He dried his hands but stayed where he was. You are not. I said I am fine. The old Cole would have crossed the room and taken control. This one gripped the dish towel and made himself still. What do you need? Maya hated the question because it gave her room to answer. She looked at Lily, then at the window flashing white with lightning. Do not come closer. Cole nodded. Okay, but talk. His brow tightened. About what? Anything. He looked lost for half a second. Then he began talking about the first time he tried to make coffee in the mansion and burned the pot so badly the chef refused to speak to him for 2 days. His voice was low and steady. He did not mention fear. He did not name her trembling. He gave her sound without demand. By the time the storm moved farther out to sea, Maya's breathing had slowed. Thank you, she said. Cole nodded once. He did not say always. He did not say, I told you I changed. He returned to the sink and finished washing the bottles. Maya began therapy in March. The office was above the bookstore near Washington Street with narrow stairs and windows facing a church steeple. Her therapist was a woman named Elaine, who wore soft sweaters and asked questions that made Maya angry for days. Do you miss Cole, or do you miss who you were when you believed him? Maya stared at her. That is a cruel question. It can be cruel and useful. I miss both. Then we work with both. So Maya did. She spoke of the mansion, the locked rooms, the way Eleanor could turn concern into command, the shame of loving a man who had failed to protect her from his own world, the deeper shame of still wanting him near when Lily cried at night. Elaine never told her what to choose. That was what made the sessions hard. Choice had been dressed up as romance for so long that Maya had to learn its real shape again. In April, she rented a small studio near the beach. The sign in the window said, Maya Whitaker Watercolors and Restoration. She painted storms first, dark skies, white foam, bent grass, lonely houses with yellow windows. Tourists were scarce, but locals came in. Then friends of locals, then visitors who wanted to take home a piece of weather that had survived itself. Cole came by one afternoon with Lily strapped to his chest in a carrier. The sight almost undid her. He stood outside the studio window for several seconds before knocking. Maya opened the door. "You know you can come in." "I was not sure." "She is your daughter. This is your space." That answer touched a place he had not been allowed near yet. Maya stepped aside. Lily was awake, blinking solemnly at the paintings as if judging the composition. Cole looked around. "These are beautiful." Maya waited for the old instinct for him to offer money contacts a bigger shop, a better location. He only said, "They feel like you." She lowered her eyes. "Which one?" He pointed to a painting of a small house standing against wild wind. One window lit gold. "That one." "Why, because it looks scared and stubborn." Maya laughed softly. "Careful, Harlan." That almost sounded like poetry. He shifted Lily gently. "I met a librarian once. She was a bad influence. The trial began in early summer. Eleanor did not plead guilty at first. Of course she did not. She arrived in court in pale suits with her head high, looking less like a defendant than a woman offended by the furniture. The press loved her. The widow, the matriarch, the fallen queen of Philadelphia society. Then the evidence started speaking. Scarlett testified with a shaking voice and no makeup strong enough to hide her fear. Paula Sykes, the retired nurse, described the medication change, the payment, the threat that had sent her into another state under another name. Financial records linked Eleanor to judges, doctors, private investigators, and accounts built to control problems before they became witnesses. Maya testified on the fourth day. Cole sat behind Clara, not close enough to claim her, close enough to stand if she asked. Eleanor watched Maya from the defense table. When the prosecutor asked about the photograph slipped beneath the cottage door, Maya described the envelope, the handwriting, the nursery, the words on the back. "A child belongs where her blood belongs." The courtroom was silent. Then Eleanor's attorney stood and tried to turn the blade. "Mrs. Harlan, you were under great emotional strain at the time. Were you not?" Maya looked at him. "Yes. You had left your husband after witnessing what you believed was an affair." "Yes. You were pregnant, isolated, frightened, and angry." "Yes. Is it possible your interpretation of these events was colored by emotion?" Maya glanced once at Lily's tiny blanket folded in Tessa's lap. Then she looked back at the attorney. "My emotion did not write that note. My fear did not pay Scarlett Reeve. My anger did not alter Victor Harlan's medication. I was frightened because frightening things were being done to me." Clara did not smile, but her pen stopped moving. Cole lowered his head, not in shame exactly, but in reverence. Eleanor took a plea before the full murder charge reached trial. The official statement was cold and narrow. The sentence was long enough that Lily would grow up knowing her grandmother only as a story adults spoke carefully around. When Maya heard the final number of years, she felt nothing at first. No triumph, no clean relief, just a door closing somewhere far away. That evening, Cole came to the cottage after asking permission. Maya sat on the porch with Lily asleep against her chest. The ocean was calm blue-gray beneath the fading light. "She is gone," Cole said. Maya nodded. "Not gone. Contained." He accepted the correction. They listened to the waves. After a while, Cole said, "I sold the mansion." Maya looked at him. All of it. The house, most of the land, the art that was not tied up in evidence. The legitimate assets are being moved into separate trusts. Lily's trust will be under independent control, not mine. Maya studied him. That cannot have been easy. No. Are you safe? Cole looked toward the street where his plain car sat under a maple tree. Safer than I was, less powerful, more honest. Maya almost smiled. You make that sound like a trade. It is. And he looked back at her. I should have made it sooner. The final test came in October. Maya was closing the studio when she saw Cole across the street speaking to a man she did not recognize. The stranger wore a black coat, expensive shoes, and the relaxed posture of someone accustomed to being dangerous indoors. Maya could not hear much. She saw Cole's face harden, saw the stranger glance toward the studio window, saw Cole step slightly blocking the man's view. Her body remembered fear before her mind did. She locked the studio door and reached for her phone. Then she watched Cole take out his own phone. Not to call Miles, not to summon men. He called Sheriff Pike. The stranger laughed when the sheriff's cruiser pulled up. Cole did not. Later on the beach, Maya confronted him while Lily slept in the stroller between them. Who was he? An old associate. What did he want? For me to remember who I used to be. And Cole looked at the water. I remembered. Maya's chest tightened. He turned to her. Then I called the sheriff. She searched his face. You wanted to handle it yourself. Yes. Badly. Yes. Why did you not? Cole looked at Lily bundled beneath a yellow blanket. Because I promised our daughter a different father. Maya looked away toward the horizon. The late sun touched the water in broken gold. Wind moved through her hair, cold and clean. For months, Cole had been changing in pieces. This was the first time she saw the shape of the whole. Not a perfect man. Not a safe man by nature. A man choosing safety against instinct. Maya reached down and unlocked the stroller brake. Then, after a long silence, she held out her hand. Cole stared at it. Do not make it dramatic, she said. He took it carefully. His palm was warm, familiar. No longer a claim. Not yet a promise. Just a hand holding another, because it had been invited. In December, Cole gave Maya a small wooden box. They were in her studio after closing. Snow fell outside in soft flakes, nothing like the storm that had brought Lily into the world. The baby was now pulling herself up on furniture and terrorizing every low shelf within reach. Maya looked at the box. If there is a diamond the size of a grape in there, I am throwing it at you. Cole smiled faintly. No diamonds. Inside were 2 rings. The first was the old wedding ring the diamond removed and set aside. The platinum had been reshaped into a simple band. The second was plain gold, warm and unadorned. Cole stood with his hands at his sides. The first ring was about my name, he said. This one is about my word. Maya looked at the rings, then at him. And what is your word worth now? Whatever I keep proving after you say yes. Or after you say no. Her throat tightened. You practiced that. I did. It shows. Too much a little. He laughed softly. She closed the box. Cole's face changed, but he did not reach for it. Maya held it against her chest. I am not saying yes tonight. I know. I am not saying no either. His breath left him slowly. All right. Maya looked toward Lily, who was chewing the corner of a clean paint rag with deep concentration. I need to choose you without losing myself. Cole's eyes shone. That is the only way I want it. 2 years after Maya left the ring on his pillow, she walked barefoot across the sand in Cape May with Lily toddling ahead of her, dropping flower petals in uneven clumps. There was no cathedral, no marble, no men with hidden weapons, no Eleanor in pearls. Ruth cried openly into a handkerchief while denying it to anyone who looked at her. Dr. Bellamy stood beside Clara, both of them smiling with the tired pride of women who had witnessed the long road between survival and joy. Sheriff Pike wore a suit that did not fit quite right and looked deeply uncomfortable about it. Tessa held Lily's emergency snacks and glared at Cole out of habit, though the edge had softened over time. Cole waited near the water in a dark suit with no tie. When Maya reached him, he did not take her hand immediately. He waited. She gave it to him. Their vows were quiet enough that only the closest people heard. Cole's voice was steady, but his eyes were wet. "I once thought love meant keeping you where I could see you. Now I know love means becoming someone you can safely return to. I cannot undo the rooms where I failed you. I cannot erase the fear my name put in your life. I can only meet you here as I am now, and spend every day proving that your freedom is not a threat to my love. It is the reason my love is worthy of you." Maya held his gaze. "I once left a ring behind because it felt like a cage. I left a house, a name, and a life that asked me to disappear quietly. Today, I am not being returned to anyone. I am choosing. I choose this hand because mine is still my own. I choose this family because it no longer asks me to be smaller. I choose you, Cole, not because you found me, but because you learned how to let me breathe." Lily clapped at the wrong moment. Everyone laughed. Cole slipped the plain gold band onto Maya's finger. No crest, no diamond, no weight beyond the promise it carried. At sunset, Maya stood at the edge of the water with Lily on her hip. The child pointed at gulls and shouted words only she understood. Cole came up beside them, close but not touching. Maya felt him there. She leaned into him first. Only then did his arm come around her. The ocean moved in long silver lines beneath the evening light. Somewhere far behind them, Philadelphia carried on without the Harlan mansion watching over it. The empire that once demanded obedience had become paperwork testimony, sealed records, and memory. Maya looked down at the ring on her hand. The first time she left one behind it was a goodbye. This one was not a chain. It was a choice. Cole pressed a kiss to Lily's hair, then looked at Maya with the quiet humility of a man who understood that being chosen once did not mean being owed forever. Maya smiled, small and real. The wind carried salt through the air. Lily laughed at the gulls. And Cole Harlan, who had once ruled a city with fear, finally stood still beside the only freedom he had ever been brave enough to protect.